Once upon a time, in a vast kingdom nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a wise man named Muhammad. Renowned for his wisdom and integrity, Muhammad had never uttered a lie in his entire life. People from distant lands, some journeying for as long as 20 days, came to seek his counsel and marvel at his honesty. News of Muhammad's impeccable reputation reached the ears of the king, a ruler both curious and skeptical. Intrigued, the king summoned his courtiers and commanded them to bring Muhammad to the royal palace. The wise man, with his calm demeanor and gentle eyes, stood before the king, who scrutinized him with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. "Muhammad," the king began, his voice echoing through the grand hall, "is it true that you have never lied?" "It is true," Muhammad replied, his voice steady and sincere. "And will you promise never to lie for the rest of your life?" the king asked, leaning forward on his throne. "I am certain of it," Muhammad answered without hesitation. The king smirked, his eyes glinting with a hint of mischief. "Be careful, Muhammad. The lie is cunning, and it can slip onto your tongue without warning." Days passed, and the king, eager to test Muhammad's resolve, devised a plan. He called for Muhammad once more, this time in the presence of a large crowd. The sun shone brightly, casting long shadows as the king prepared for a hunting expedition. Holding his horse by the mane, with his left foot already in the stirrup, the king addressed Muhammad. "Muhammad," he said, "go to my summer palace and inform the queen that I will join her for lunch. Tell her to prepare a grand feast, for you will dine with us as well." Muhammad bowed respectfully and set off towards the summer palace. As he walked away, the king chuckled and turned to his courtiers. "We will not go hunting today. Tomorrow we shall see if the wise Muhammad has lied to the queen. It will be amusing to witness his failure." Upon arriving at the summer palace, Muhammad was greeted by the queen, a woman of grace and poise. She listened intently as Muhammad delivered his message. "Your Majesty," Muhammad began, "perhaps you should prepare a grand feast for lunch tomorrow, and perhaps you should not. Maybe the king will arrive by noon, and maybe he will not." The queen, puzzled by his ambiguous words, pressed for clarity. "Tell me, Muhammad, will the king come or not?" Muhammad gazed thoughtfully into the distance before replying, "I cannot say for certain, Your Majesty. When I left, the king had his right foot on the stirrup, but whether he placed his left foot on the ground after I departed, I do not know," and prepared for the possibility of the king's arrival. The palace buzzed with activity as preparations were made, yet uncertainty lingered in the air. The next day, as the sun reached its zenith, the king arrived at the summer palace. He dismounted his horse and made his way to the queen, a triumphant grin on his face. "The wise Muhammad, who claims never to lie, has deceived you," the king declared. But the queen, composed and unflustered, recounted Muhammad's exact words. As the king listened, realization dawned upon him. Muhammad had spoken the truth, relaying only what he had seen with his own eyes. The king's plan to expose Muhammad had failed, and instead he had been reminded of the wisdom and integrity that defined the wise man. Impressed by Muhammad's unwavering honesty, the king invited him to stay at the palace as an advisor. Over time, Muhammad's wisdom and guidance brought prosperity and justice to the kingdom, earning him the respect and admiration of all. One evening, as Muhammad and the king walked through the palace gardens, the king spoke of a recurring dream that troubled him. "In my dream, I see a great danger approaching our kingdom. It is shrouded in darkness, and I do not know how to confront it." Muhammad listened carefully, his eyes reflecting the light of the setting sun. "Dreams are often windows to our deepest fears and desires," he said. "Perhaps this dream is a warning, urging you to prepare for the unknown." The king nodded thoughtfully. "But how do we prepare for something we do not understand?" "By seeking knowledge and wisdom from every corner of our land," Muhammad replied. "There is much we can learn from the stories and experiences of our people." And so, the king and Muhammad embarked on a journey across the kingdom, gathering tales and wisdom from villagers, elders, and travelers. They listened to stories of bravery, love, and sacrifice, each one enriching their understanding of the world and the challenges they might face. One night, while camping under the stars, an old hermit approached their campfire. His eyes, deep and knowing, seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. "Great king," the hermit began, "I have heard of your quest and the dream that haunts you. The darkness you see is not just a threat from outside, but a reflection of the doubts and fears within your own heart." The king listened intently, absorbing the hermit's words. "To overcome this darkness," the hermit continued, "you must first conquer the shadows within yourself. Only then will you find the strength to protect your kingdom from any danger." The king pondered these words, realizing the truth in them. With Muhammad's guidance, he began to confront his inner fears, seeking to understand and overcome them. Months passed, and the king's inner journey brought him greater clarity and wisdom. He ruled with a renewed sense of purpose, his decisions guided by compassion and insight. One day, news arrived of an impending invasion. A formidable army was approaching the kingdom, their intentions unknown, but their strength undeniable. The king, now a beacon of calm and confidence, addressed his people. "We have prepared for this moment through the wisdom we have gathered and the strength we have cultivated within ourselves. Together, we will face this challenge and protect our land." The people, inspired by their king's courage, rallied behind him. Muhammad's teachings had not only strengthened the king, but had also united the kingdom in a bond of trust and resilience. As the enemy army drew near, the king and his forces stood ready. The battle that ensued was fierce, but the kingdom's unity and the king's wisdom prevailed. The invading forces were driven back, and peace was restored to the land. In the aftermath of the battle, the king and Muhammad reflected on their journey. They had faced the darkness, both within and without, emerging stronger and wiser. Muhammad's legacy of truth and wisdom continued to guide the kingdom for generations. His story became a beacon of hope and integrity, reminding all who heard it of the power of honesty and the strength that comes from within. As the years passed, the kingdom flourished under the rule of the wise king and the counsel of Muhammad. Stories of their adventures spread far and wide, inspiring other realms to seek the same path of wisdom and truth.